Have you ever felt that your life is difficult? Today, we journey to the edges of existence where survival defies imagination. From dizzying cliffs to frozen tundras and scorching deserts, humans have built homes in places never meant for life. These are the corners of Earth that test the very limits of our spirit, adapting to environments that challenge human endurance every single day. Welcome to a breathtaking exploration of the most extreme environments on our planet. Before we dive into these incredible stories, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon for more epic documentaries. Death valleys. Step into a realm where the air feels like a furnace and the ground cracked under a relentless sun that rarely shares its domain with clouds. Death Valley stands as the largest national park in the contiguous United States, stretching across more than 5,000 square miles of punishing desert terrain. Here, the annual rainfall averages a mere 2 inches, and some years pass without a single drop ever touching the parched earth. In the mysterious expanse of Racetrack Playa, heavy rocks weighing dozens of pounds seem to migrate across the dry lake bed by themselves. This phenomenon occurs when thin layers of ice form after rare rains and then melt and allow the wind to push the stones slowly across the slick mud. Nearby, at the Eureka Dunes, a rare phenomenon known as the booming sands occurs. When dry sand grains slide down the slopes, the friction creates a deep, low-frequency roar that can be heard for miles. Despite the harshness, life waits in shadows. During rare, wet winters, millions of dormant seeds awaken to carpet the valley floor in a fleeting sea of wildflowers. The valley also holds the ghosts of the past, with abandoned mining towns like Rhyolite and Skidoo serving as silent witnesses to the booms and busts of the gold and borax rushes. This is a land of extremes where nature reveals its most haunting and beautiful mysteries. Lake Superior. Forget everything you think you know about lakes, because this is not a mere body of water. It is a freshwater ocean with its own internal weather systems and a chilling depth that commands absolute respect. Lake Superior is the largest, deepest, and coldest of the 5 Great Lakes, holding about 10% of the world's surface fresh water. Spanning over 31,000 square miles, its horizon is so vast that the opposite shore remains invisible from the land, creating an oceanic atmosphere. One of its most terrifying features is the seiche, a phenomenon where water levels oscillate rapidly due to atmospheric pressure changes, causing the water to suddenly retreat from one shore and surge violently onto another. Because the lake has low nutrient levels, its waters are exceptionally clear, offering underwater visibility of over 65 feet. The lake is home to more than 400 islands, including the Canadian side's massive rock formation known as the Sleeping Giant, which resembles a titan resting on the surface of the water. Beneath its beautiful surface lies a graveyard of ships, claimed by the lake's legendary autumn storms. Superior remains a pristine, cold frontier where the power of nature is felt in every freezing wave that crashes against its rugged, ancient shores. Tanah Barak Beach. In the lush tropical paradise of Bali, there is a place where human engineering has literally split a mountain in two to create a gateway to the sea that looks like a scene from a fantasy epic. Tanah Barak Beach features a paved road cut directly through a massive limestone cliff, creating a dramatic corridor that leads straight to the turquoise waters of the Indian Ocean. In the local language, the name Tanah Barak means red earth, a striking contrast to the brilliant white of the limestone walls and the pale sands of the shore. Instead of winding around the hill as most roads do, the authorities used heavy machinery to slice the limestone block in half, resulting in towering vertical walls that frame the sky. Today, nearly 90% of visitors come specifically to capture photographs of this iconic road, which has become more famous than the beach itself. The color of the limestone changes throughout the day, appearing a stark, brilliant white under the midday sun and shifting to warm hues of gold and orange as the sun sets. Because the area has not yet been overtaken by massive resorts, the horizon remains open and pristine, offering a unique blend of man-made precision and raw coastal beauty that is unlike anywhere else on the island. Mir Mine. Deep in the frozen heart of Siberia lies a man-made abyss so vast it disrupts the very air currents above it, a spiraling wound in the earth that once fueled the diamond dreams of an entire empire. The Mir mine was the first and largest open-pit diamond mine in the former Soviet Union, playing a crucial role in making Russia a top diamond exporter during the 20th century. At its center is a gargantuan hole with an unpaved spiral road that winds from the rim down to the dark depths of the pit. This road is so steep and long that massive transport trucks, weighing hundreds of tons, require more than 2.5 hours to climb from the bottom to the surface when fully loaded. The town of Mirny sits precariously on the very edge of this crater, where for decades, blasting operations and ore transport filled the air with dust. In this brutal environment, vehicle engines must be kept running constantly during the winter to prevent them from freezing solid. The permafrost ground makes traditional agriculture impossible, forcing the local population to rely on a diet of meat and fish adapted to the Arctic climate. Though mining in the open pit has ceased, the sheer scale of the Mir mine remains a staggering monument to human ambition in one of the coldest inhabited places on Earth. Skeleton Coast, where the towering orange dunes of the Namib Desert collide with the cold, treacherous currents of the Atlantic Ocean, lies a graveyard of ships and giants known as the Skeleton Coast. This region earned its name from the whale and seal bones that once littered the shore, joined over the centuries by more than 1,000 shipwrecks. The coast is perpetually shrouded in a dense, ghostly fog created by the meeting of desert heat and cold ocean water, a trap that has lured countless sailors to their doom. Because of the powerful onshore winds, the coastline is constantly moving. Some ships that sank in the ocean centuries ago are now found hundreds of yards inland, surrounded by nothing but sand. The rusted skeletons of steel hulls and sun-bleached timber are scattered across the beach, slowly being reclaimed by the desert. Despite its deadly reputation, the Skeleton Coast is home to extraordinary wildlife, including desert lions that have learned to hunt seals on the beach and the rare black rhinoceros. You might also find the Welwitschia mirabilis, a plant that can live for over 1,000 years, surviving on nothing but the moisture from the morning fog. This is a place of haunting beauty and extreme desolation, where the desert and the sea engage in a never-ending battle for dominance. Nanga Parbat. Nanga Parbat, known as the Killer Mountain, is the ninth highest peak in the world and has earned one of the most fearsome reputations in the history of mountaineering. Its name in Sanskrit means naked mountain, a reference to its sheer, vertical slopes where snow and ice cannot cling, revealing massive faces of dark, intimidating rock. Its most famous feature is the Rupal face, which rises an incredible 15,000 feet from the base to the summit, making it the highest mountain wall on the planet. For decades, the mountain resisted all attempts to be conquered, claiming dozens of lives before Hermann Boule finally reached the summit alone and without supplemental oxygen in 1953. Below the terrifying ice-covered ridges lies the Fairy Meadows, a lush green plateau of pine forests and meadows that provides a stunning, peaceful contrast to the brutal peak above. However, the road to this paradise is a narrow, unpaved track carved into the cliffside, considered one of the most dangerous roads in the world. Nanga Parbat remains a hauntingly beautiful giant that demands total respect, a place where the line between an earthly paradise and a mountaineering nightmare is as thin as the mountain air. Mount Etna, rising above the island of Sicily, is a living, breathing giant that is not only Europe's highest active volcano, but also a master of strange atmospheric tricks. Mount Etna has been erupting for thousands of years, and its frequent activity has created a unique relationship with the people who live in its shadow. One of its most rare and beautiful phenomena is the creation of volcanic smoke rings, perfect white circles of gas that the volcano blows into the sky during brief, rhythmic bursts of pressure. In the summer, millions of ladybugs migrate to the upper slopes of the volcano, huddling together for warmth among the sun-heated rocks near the active vents. The volcanic ash and pumice have created incredibly fertile soil, allowing local farmers to grow ancient vineyards directly on top of old lava flows to produce world-class wines. However, the danger is ever present. Recent eruptions have covered the coastal city of Catania in black basalt sand and forced the closure of airports. Despite the constant threat of fire, the mountain also hosts two ski resorts, where visitors can slide down snowy slopes while watching the crater above puff out clouds of ash. It is a place of incredible paradox, where the threat of destruction and the bounty of the earth exist in a delicate, fiery balance. Lakahigar. In the late 18th century, a scar opened in the earth of Iceland that was so violent it changed the course of European history and cast a shadow of starvation across the northern hemisphere. Lakagigar is a volcanic fissure stretching over 15 miles, consisting of more than 130 craters that erupted simultaneously in 1783. This event released the largest volume of basalt lava ever recorded in a single historical eruption, creating a vast, jagged landscape known as the Skaftareldaron. Today, this dark lava field is covered in a thick, velvety layer of bright green rockometrium moss, creating a surreal contrast with the black volcanic rock and the oxidized red iron soil. The eruption was an unprecedented human catastrophe. The toxic clouds of sulfur dioxide and fluorine destroyed crops and poisoned livestock, leading to a famine that killed a quarter of Iceland's population. The ash clouds were so dense, they disrupted weather patterns as far away as North America and North Africa, causing the Mississippi River to freeze at New Orleans. Today, reaching this remote site requires a rugged four-wheel drive journey across unbridged glacial rivers and mountain tracks. It stands as a silent, moss-covered monument to the sheer destructive power of the Earth's interior. Yellow River. The Yellow River is known as the cradle of Chinese civilization, but it also carries the terrifying title of China's sorrow due to its history of cataclysmic floods. This massive waterway stretches nearly 3,400 miles, crossing 9 provinces and carrying more silt than any other river on the planet. During the flood season, a single cubic meter of its water can contain up to 75 pounds of mud, giving the river its signature deep ochre color. This incredible amount of sediment causes the riverbed to rise every year, sometimes sitting higher than the surrounding farmland, which makes its levees prone to catastrophic failure. One of the most devastating floods in 1931 is estimated to have claimed between 1 and 4 million lives. Where the river meets the sea in Shandong province, the dark yellow river water clashes with the green water of the Bohai Sea, creating a sharp color line that extends for miles. As it crosses the Loess Plateau, the powerful current carves the land into deep canyons, vertical earthen pillars, and a labyrinth of valleys. Despite its destructive power, the river's silt creates miles of new land every year at its delta, proving that the Yellow River is a force of both absolute destruction and constant creation. Lake Baikal. Behold the Galapagos of Russia, an ancient inland sea that holds 20% of the world's unfrozen fresh water and hides mysteries that date back 25 million years. Lake Baikal is the oldest and deepest lake on the planet, so clear that in the winter or on calm summer days, you can see objects nearly 130 feet beneath the surface. As winter grips the region, methane gas rising from the lake floor becomes trapped in the thickening ice, creating stunning white orbs that look like frozen bubbles suspended in time. The lake is home to 27 islands, with Olkhon Island serving as a spiritual heart for local shamanic traditions. What truly sets Baikal apart is its unique biology. More than 80% of the species here are found nowhere else on Earth, including the Nerpa, the world's only exclusively freshwater seal. Another strange inhabitant is the Golomianka, a translucent, oil-rich fish that lives in the crushing depths and lacks scales. The environment is brutal, with winter temperatures dropping to -40 degrees and summer winds so fierce they can topple heavy tents. Despite the cold, the lake is a vibrant, living lung of the planet, a deep blue abyss that continues to baffle scientists and inspire legends with its sheer scale and prehistoric purity. Laguna Verde. High in the thin, freezing air of the Bolivian Andes, there is a lake that glows with a brilliant, emerald green light. But its beauty is a warning of the toxic chemical cocktail within. Laguna Verde sits at the foot of the Licancabur volcano, an area of high altitude where the sun's ultraviolet rays are intense and the wind never stops. The lake's striking color does not come from algae or life, but from a dense concentration of minerals, including lead, sulfur, magnesium, carbonate, and, most dangerously, arsenic. These heavy metals make the water a deadly environment for almost any living creature, yet they also act as a natural antifreeze, preventing the lake from freezing solid even when temperatures drop far below zero. The color of the water is a living thing. When the wind is calm, the lake can look dark and somber. But as soon as the fierce Andean gusts stir up the sediments from the bottom, it transforms into a vivid, glowing turquoise. Because of the toxic levels of arsenic, you won't find the famous Andean flamingos here, as they prefer the less poisonous nearby lagoons. Laguna Verde remains a stunning but sterile masterpiece of nature, a place where geography and chemistry combine to create a landscape that looks like it belongs on another planet. Amazon River. The Amazon is the undisputed king of rivers, a liquid giant that pumps 20% of the world's surface freshwater into the Atlantic Ocean. Yet it remains a frontier that defies human infrastructure. Perhaps the most shocking fact about the Amazon is that across its entire 4,000-mile main channel, there is not a single bridge. The sheer width of the river, which can expand to 30 miles during the rainy season, and the unstable soft riverbanks make bridge building an engineering nightmare. Instead, life revolves entirely around boats and ferries, with people living in floating houses that rise and fall with the tides. During the peak of the floods, the water rises so high that dolphins and fish swim through the tops of submerged trees in the flooded forests. The river system is home to Marajo Island, a landmass at the river's mouth that is actually larger than the entire country of Switzerland. Beneath the murky surface, a deadly ecosystem thrives, featuring the black caiman, which can grow to 20 feet, and the electric eel, capable of delivering an 860-volt shock. The humidity is a constant 80 to 90%, and the air is thick with the threat of tropical diseases like malaria and yellow fever. The Amazon is a world unto itself, a powerful, unbridged artery of the planet that remains largely untamed by modern man. Kayatur Falls, hidden deep within the Amazonian rainforest of Guyana, is a thundering wall of water that is 5 times higher than Niagara Falls, but remains one of the most isolated wonders on Earth. Kayatur Falls is the world's largest single-drop waterfall by volume, where the Potaro River suddenly plunges 741 feet off a sandstone plateau into a deep, mist-filled gorge. Because the site is located in a remote national park, it can only be reached by small planes landing on a narrow gravel strip in the middle of the jungle. The constant spray from the falls creates its own microclimate, allowing rare carnivorous plants like the sundew to grow on the very edge of the abyss. One of the most magical sights here is the Kayatur swift, a bird that flies directly through the curtain of falling water to build its nests in the wet rock crevices behind the falls. On the ground, you might find the tiny golden rocket frog, a rare creature that spends its entire life inside the water-filled leaves of giant tank bromeliads. With only about 8,000 visitors a year, Kayatur offers a level of solitude and raw natural power that is almost impossible to find in the modern world. It is a place where the roar of the water and the emerald green of the jungle create a cathedral of nature that feels untouched by time. Denali, towering over the Alaskan wilderness, is Denali, the highest peak in North America, and a mountain so massive that it literally creates its own weather systems. Denali rises 20,310 feet above sea level, but because its base sits on a low-altitude plain, it has the highest vertical rise of any mountain situated entirely above sea level. The mountain is flanked by massive glaciers, including the 3-mile-long Kahiltna Glacier, which is riddled with deep, shifting crevasses that pose a constant threat to climbers. Because of its extreme northern latitude, the air at the summit is much thinner than at the equator, making it feel significantly higher than it actually is. Temperatures on the slopes can drop below -40 degrees, and winds often exceed 100 miles per hour, creating conditions where human skin can freeze in seconds. During the long winter, the region is plunged into near total darkness, while the midnight sun of summer provides 24 hours of light, forcing climbers to sleep in bright sunshine. The mountain's name, given by the indigenous Koyukon people, means the tall one, a fitting title for a peak that stands as a lonely, frozen sentinel over the vast subarctic tundra. Denali is not just a mountain. It is a brutal, beautiful test of human endurance and mountaineering skill. Aconcagua. At the spine of the Andes Mountains stands Aconcagua, the highest point in both the western and southern hemispheres, and the tallest peak outside of the Himalayas. Its jagged slopes are famous for a strange ice formation known as penitentes, sharp, blade-like spikes of snow that point toward the sun, created by the direct transition of ice into gas in the dry, cold air. The south face of the mountain is a terrifying 10,000-foot vertical wall of rock and ice, considered one of the most difficult climbing routes in the world. While the standard route is not technically complex, the extreme altitude causes severe health risks, including high-altitude pulmonary edema, as climbers struggle for every breath of thin air. The mountain is also a place of deep history. In 1985, researchers discovered the perfectly preserved mummy of a young Inca child at 17,400 feet. This child was part of a capacocha ritual, a religious sacrifice made by the Inca Empire centuries ago to appease the mountain gods. Today, the park is home to the majestic Andean condor and the guanaco, creatures that have mastered the art of living in the thin, freezing atmosphere. Aconcagua remains a majestic giant of the Americas, a place where ancient spiritual traditions and modern mountaineering ambitions meet in the clouds. The fairy meadows. Imagine a lush green carpet of alpine grass and pine forests that sits directly at the base of a 15,000-foot vertical wall of ice and rock. The fairy meadows in Pakistan offer one of the most stunning visual contrasts on Earth, where peaceful, wildflower-filled pastures sit in the shadow of the terrifying Nanga Parbat. Legend says this place was a playground for fairies, a name given by German climbers who were awestruck by its beauty. To get here, you must survive a jeep ride on a road so narrow and high that one wrong move means a 1,000-foot drop into the Indus River. Once you arrive, the silence of the meadows is broken only by the distant thunder of avalanches falling from the killer mountain above. This is one of the few places where you can stand in a temperate forest and feel the freezing wind coming directly off a massive glacier. At night, the stars over the meadows are so bright they illuminate the snow-covered peak like a giant white ghost. It is a place of extreme paradox, where the gentleness of the earth and the lethal power of the mountains are separated by only a few miles of thin mountain air. Pitch Lake. Imagine a lake where you cannot swim, where the surface is a dark, moving skin of liquid stone that has been oozing from the depths of the earth for centuries. Pitch Lake in Trinidad is the largest and richest natural deposit of asphalt in the world, appearing as a vast, dark gray expanse that feels like solid ground but flows with a slow, geologic pulse. This lake acts as a natural preservative. Its thick layers often swallow tree branches, fossils, and various objects, only to burp them back to the surface decades or even centuries later, remarkably intact. The air here is thick with the scent of sulfur as bubbles of hydrocarbon gases and hydrogen sulfide rise to the surface and pop with a continuous hissing sound. During the rainy season, water collects in the wide cracks of the asphalt, creating warm, sulfur-rich pools that contrast sharply with the dark surroundings. The reach of this strange lake is global, as its high-quality asphalt was used to pave the famous Pall Mall in London and the Lincoln Tunnel in New York City. Surrounded by lush tropical vegetation, the dark, bubbling lake attracts thousands of tourists and geologists every year, all fascinated by this rare sight where the Earth's internal chemistry spills out for all to see. Guatemala City sinkhole. Imagine standing at a busy city intersection, surrounded by the hum of traffic and commerce, when suddenly, the very earth beneath you vanishes into a perfectly circular, bottomless black void. In the heart of Guatemala City, a massive sinkhole formed in a densely populated area built upon layers of volcanic sediment, including ash and pumice. These materials are highly porous and easily eroded by water over thousands of years, creating a hidden fragility beneath the urban landscape. The disaster was triggered by a perfect storm of events. The nearby Pacaya volcano erupted, covering the city in ash, followed immediately by Tropical Storm Agatha, which brought torrential rains. As the water surged through the city's drainage systems, it leaked into the unstable ground, washing away the underlying soil until the surface could no longer support itself. The result was a near-vertical cylindrical shaft that swallowed a 3-story building and a street intersection in an instant. This event serves as a terrifying reminder of the instability of human structures built on shifting volcanic lands. It highlights the vulnerability of modern cities to the unseen forces of geology, where a combination of natural disasters and aging infrastructure can turn a solid street into a terrifying abyss without warning. Mawsynram. If you think a rainy day is gloomy, imagine living in a place where the clouds literally walk through your front door and the sound of falling water is the permanent soundtrack to your life. The village of Mawsynram in India holds the record as the wettest place on Earth, with an average annual rainfall of about 467 inches. Situated on the Meghalaya Plateau, it sits directly in the path of monsoon winds from the Indian Ocean, which are forced upward, cooling and releasing torrential rains. The humidity is so high year-round that low-hanging clouds frequently drift through open windows, filling homes with a damp mist. To cope with the constant downpour, the locals use a unique rain shield called a nup, a dome-shaped cover made of bamboo and banana leaves that keeps their hands free for work. During the monsoon season, the limestone cliffs surrounding the village transform into hundreds of temporary waterfalls that thunder down into the valleys below. Perhaps most impressively, the Khasi people have mastered the art of living bridges, training the roots of Ficus elastica trees to grow across streams, creating natural structures that grow stronger over time and never rot in the perpetual dampness. Life in Mawsynram is a testament to human patience and the ability to harmonize with an environment defined by the relentless power of water. Kazakhstan, abandoned town. Deep in the vast, treeless steppes of Central Asia, a gray concrete ghost stands in total silence. A city of 10,000 people that vanished almost overnight when the empire that built it collapsed. This abandoned town in Kazakhstan is a stark example of the Khrushchevka style of Soviet architecture, featuring rows of 5- and 9-story apartment blocks that once housed military personnel and their families. Following the fall of the Soviet Union in the 1990s, the order was given for the garrison to evacuate immediately, leaving behind a fully functional urban infrastructure. Today, these buildings stand without doors or windows, their empty frames staring out over the endless plains like hollow eyes. Because there are no tall trees in the steppe, the entire silent city can be seen from miles away, a gray monument to a lost era. Nature has begun to reclaim the streets, with gray wolves, red foxes, and wild horses roaming through the courtyards where children once played. Scavengers have long since stripped the buildings of any useful metal or wood, leaving only the reinforced concrete shells. It is a chilling place where the wind whistles through empty hallways, reminding any visitor of how quickly a thriving community can be erased by the shifting tides of geopolitics and history. Chernobyl Exclusion Zone. Enter a world where time stopped in April 1986, leaving behind a 2,600 square mile kingdom of silence, where nature is slowly strangling the remains of human civilization. The Chernobyl Exclusion Zone is an eerie landscape born from the world's worst nuclear disaster, where the invisible threat of radiation still dictates where a person can safely walk. Following the explosion, the nearby pine forests absorbed so much radiation that they turned a sickly ginger color and died, becoming known as the Red Forest, where the dead trees refused to decay for years because the microbes responsible for decomposition had also perished. In the city of Pripyat, the iconic yellow Ferris wheel stands frozen, a symbol of a carnival that never opened and a life that was abandoned in a matter of hours. Thousands of contaminated fire trucks, helicopters, and military vehicles sit in graveyards, still emitting dangerous levels of secondary radiation. Yet, in a surprising twist of human will, hundreds of elderly residents, known as Samosli, return to their ancestral homes, choosing to live off the land despite the risks. Radiation levels here are not uniform. A paved road might be safe, while a patch of moss just a few feet away could trigger a frantic alarm on a dosimeter. It is a haunting outdoor laboratory where the fragility of human technology is laid bare against the enduring power of the earth. Our journey across Earth's most extreme corners reminds us that this world is a masterpiece of mystery and power. From ancient lakes and radioactive forests to roaring volcanoes and frozen poles, every site reveals the incredible resilience of life and the divine balance of nature. We've seen places where time stands still and environments that challenge everything we know about survival. Which of these locations shocked you the most? Would you dare visit any of them? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this adventure with your friends. Until next time, stay curious.